Okay, so get this right. Today, we are diving into the world of musical rhythm. Like tap your feet, bob your head rhythm. But get this. We're talking about a lot of rhythms, like an insane number of rhythms. 5 quintillion, yeah, you heard that right. 5 quintillion rhythms. That number kind of broke my brain a little bit when I first heard it. And to help us wrap our heads around it, we've got the Jack Lima, the guy who, like, literally wrote the dictionary on rhythm. No, seriously, he wrote a book called Dictionary of Rhythm. And in this radio interview, he drops that 5 quintillion number like it's no big deal. So honestly, my first thought was, come on, how many ways can you really hit a drum?
Yeah, I mean, that's a perfectly natural reaction. You're picturing a drum set, right? But what Lima is talking about is so much bigger than just the instruments, or even the genres, the styles we're all like used to hearing. He's talking about like the fundamental like DNA of music, almost the building blocks of all musical rhythm.
So it's kind of like saying there are more colors in the rainbow than we can even see.
More like there are infinite shades within each of those colors, we just kind of lump them all together. Like we tend to think of music in those familiar boxes, right?
Yeah.
Rock, blues, jazz. But Lema's work is saying, hold on, let's throw those boxes out the window for a second. He's focused on the intricate rhythmic like words inside each of those genres.
Okay, so break this down for me. You're saying there's a difference between a musical genre and the rhythms inside of it. Like, give me an example.
Okay, think of it like language. Imagine genres are like different subjects, history, science, fiction. Each one has its own like vocabulary, its own rules, its own way of doing things. But within each subject, there are like infinite ways to express ideas, to tell stories.
Right.
Rhythms, in this analogy, are the words and phrases we use to build those musical sentences.
So when I'm like tapping my foot to say a rock song, I'm not just experiencing rock. I'm experiencing one like specific rhythmic phrase out of like a million in the universe of rock rhythms.
Exactly. And what Lima's done is he's created this whole system for like mapping out those rhythmic possibilities with incredible precision.
Speaking of systems, in the interview, Lima talks about using mathematical progression to reach that mind-boggling 5 quintillion figure. And honestly, math and music don't always like groove together in my brain.
No worries. It's not as complex as it sounds. What Lima's really focused on is rhythmic subdivisions. Think of it like it's how we divide a beat, like the spaces between the spaces, the pulses that make a rhythm actually interesting.
All right, so let's get granular here, because this is where I need you to like put on your rhythm whisperer hat for a sec. Lima throws out terms like binary and quaternary subdivisions, and I need you to like break those down for me like I'm 5.
Gotcha. Okay, picture yourself at a rock concert, right? You're feeling that driving beat.
Okay.
You clap along, clap, 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 clap. That's your basic binary subdivision, 2 beats per measure. Now, transport yourself to a salsa club. Hips are moving, feet are flying. You're clapping 4 times per beat. Clap, 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 clap. That's quaternary, 4 beats per measure.
Okay, so more subdivisions, more rhythms. It's like suddenly realizing there are way more shades of blue than you ever imagined. So is that how we get to 5 quintillion? Because like, if samba alone has that many variations just by switching from 2 beats to 4.
You're catching on. And get this, Lima really uses samba as a prime example in the interview. He says with those, those simple binary subdivisions, samba's got 128 possible rhythms. But crank it up to quaternary, and boom, you've got a jaw-dropping 32,768 possibilities.
Sounds like a faster genre doesn't automatically mean like way more rhythms. It's more about how those rhythms are packed into each beat, right?
Yeah, it's about those like micro movements, the way those rhythms are woven in. And here's the real head scratcher. Lima is saying that all music, like no matter what genre, it's all drawing from the same like wellspring of rhythmic possibilities.
Hold on, for real. So my like bubblegum pop playlist and like a Bach concerto, those have something in common rhythmically.
It sounds crazy, right? But that's what Lima's research is pointing to. He even mentions a thesis that found some like surprising links between Tchaikovsky, the classical composer, and get this, Brazilian sertanejo music.
Okay, now my brain is officially doing the samba. So like you're telling me a classical composer from Russia and like a pop songwriter today, they could be using like similar rhythmic building blocks.
Exactly. It's like there's this hidden interconnectedness in music that we don't always see. We tend to put genres in their own little boxes, but in Lima's work is like, nope, there are these secret passageways, these unexpected bridges between them.
Man, this makes me want to go on a musical scavenger hunt through my own playlist.
Yeah.
Are there any other like cool examples of these cross-genre connections in Lima's work?
Well, he gets really deep into the math behind it all, like how specific combinations of those subdivisions we talked about, and accents, like the emphasis on certain beats, how those can create totally different feels. Like you could have the same seemingly simple rhythm, but in one context it might sound, urgent and driving, and then in another it's playful, joyful, even.
Well, so it's not just about the notes themselves, it's about how they're like arranged in time. That's what gives it the emotional impact.
Right. It's like there's this musical code, and Lima's he's giving us the tools to like crack that code. We can dissect any piece of music now, from Beethoven to Beyonce, and start to understand the rhythmic choices that make them unique.
Okay, so we're talking about like this massive universe of rhythms. We've got hidden connections between genres and a whole new way to understand how music makes us feel. But I got to ask, like, why does this even matter?
Yeah.
I mean, besides like musicians and, music nerds like us, what's the so what for the average person listening to their favorite playlist?
So we've been totally bombarded with 5 quintillion rhythms, had our minds blown by these crazy cross-genre connections, and we've learned how like rhythm really shapes our emotional response to music. But like, why does it matter? Why should we care? Well, it's like anything else we deep dive into, right? The more we understand those tiny building blocks, the more we can appreciate the beauty and the complexity of the whole thing. Like Lima's work is like he's handing us a new pair of headphones, and suddenly we can hear all these hidden layers in the music. We can hear the echoes of like centuries of music making, the subtle ways that cultures and genres are all like intertwined. The way a simple change in emphasis can completely change the feeling of a song.
It's like you said before, right?
Uh,
You thought you knew blue,
yeah.
but then bam,
Yeah.
a million new shades?
Exactly. It adds this whole other dimension to listening to music. And speaking of dimensions, remember how we were talking about Lama's book, Dictionary of Rhythm? What if we could map out all these rhythms like it was a dictionary? Would we end up with like a musical periodic table or something?
Hold up, a musical periodic table. So you're saying we could like look up a rhythm the same way we look up a word. What would that even look like?
Cool. Imagine this, like this vast multi-dimensional lexicon, right? Where every single rhythmic possibility, it has its own little entry, its own fingerprint. We could trace it like the lineage of rhythms across different cultures, see how they've evolved over time, how they've been like remixed and reimagined. Maybe we'd even find like some universal rhythmic truths, patterns that evoke joy or sadness no matter, where you're from or what kind of music you normally listen to.
So the next time I hear a song I love, I could like theoretically look up its rhythmic DNA in this awesome music dictionary.
Exactly. You could trace its ancestry, see how it all fits into this grand scheme of rhythmic possibilities. It'd be like having X-ray vision, but for music.
Man, this whole conversation has like changed how I hear music.
Hmm.
It's kind of humbling, to think that something we like take for granted, that beat we tap our feet to, the pulse that makes us want to move, it's got this whole hidden universe inside of it just waiting to be explored.
It reminds us that the most extraordinary discoveries, they're often hiding in plain sight, just waiting for us to really open our ears and listen.
Well said. This deep dive has been like a masterclass in really appreciating the magic of music. So to everyone listening, next time you're listening to your favorite song, take a second to really hear those rhythms. You might be surprised at what you discover. Okay, so where are we? We started with 5 quintillion rhythms. 5 quintillion, we talked about those wild connections across genres and how rhythm like really gets under our skin, emotionally. But I'm still stuck on the so what.
Well, think of it this way. It's like, when you zoom in on anything, like really close, you start to see the details, the textures you never noticed before, and then you zoom back out and the whole thing has changed, right? Lima's work, it's like he's giving us that magnifying glass for music. We can suddenly hear those subtle variations, those echoes of like different cultures, and it makes the whole listening experience so much richer.
It's like, you think you know something, like you've seen a million sunsets, and then you catch one from a different angle, and it's like seeing it for the first time again.
Yeah, exactly. And remember we were talking about Lima's book, The Dictionary of Rhythm. Imagine if we really could map it all out, like a musical periodic table.
Wait, a musical periodic table? Okay, now you're blowing my mind again. So you're saying, like, I could look up a rhythm the same way I look up a word. What would that even look like?
Well, picture this. A giant library, right? But instead of books, it's rhythms. Every possible combination, every little variation, it has its own like little card catalog entry. We could trace the history of a rhythm, see how it's traveled across the world, how it's been used in different genres. Maybe we'd even find like rhythmic families, like these groups of rhythms that all share some common ancestor.
So like the next time I don't know, listening to a song I love, I could like look up its rhythmic DNA, see where it came from, how it connects to like all the other rhythms out there.
Exactly. It'd be like having like musical X-ray vision. You could see right through the notes and into the heart of the rhythm.
Man, this whole conversation has been like ear-opening. I mean, rhythm is everywhere, right? It's the pulse of life. But to think that it's got this whole like hidden language, this secret code, it's pretty mind-blowing.
It reminds us to never underestimate the power of those things we often take for granted, like the beat that makes us tap our feet or nod our heads. There's a whole universe hidden inside those simple rhythms.
Well said. This deep dive has been incredible. Thanks for taking us down the rabbit hole of rhythm with us. And to everyone listening, next time you're lost in your favorite song, take a second to really listen to those rhythms. You might just discover a whole new world hiding in plain sight.